The first contract came on a Tuesday when the rain had forgotten how to stop. It slid under my door without a sound, as if it had learned its manners from a ghost. There was no envelope, no stamp, no return address, just my name, typed in the exact font my old handler used before he died. Inside was a single page, white as a confession and warm as if it had been breathing. The signature at the bottom belonged to a woman who had been buried 3 years ago. I knew this because I killed the man who killed her, and I watched her coffin sink into the mud like it was tired of staying upright. The target was a hospital administrator who slept a full 8 hours every night and believed in the power of charity dinners. The cause of grievance was listed plainly, delayed treatment resulting in death, and the time of death of the signer was noted right below, 11:40 p.m., precise as a receipt. Payment already settled. I laughed, because that's what you do when the universe makes a joke at your expense. Then I stopped laughing. My phone vibrated with a balance notification from an account that didn't even exist yesterday. The money was clean, quieter than blood, and exactly my rate. I burned the paper, but the words stayed behind my eyes, like the afterimage of a flashbang. That night, I dreamed of hospital corridors that stretched longer and longer every time I tried to reach the end. I took the job. I always do. I don't believe in miracles unless they pay up front. The administrator died in his driveway when his automatic gate decided to remember what gravity was for. The next morning, another contract arrived, then another. They were always signed by the dead. Different handwriting, same chilling precision, same smell of rain and fresh printer ink. Each signer had died because someone, somewhere, cut a corner, signed a paper, looked away, or followed protocol like it was scripture. Each target was responsible in that particular way cowards prefer, indirectly, and forever. I started keeping a list of the dead signers, not out of guilt, but to find a pattern. There was no pattern, except me. The contracts referenced details no one could possibly know. The color of a nurse's shoes, the brand of rope used in a garage. I asked my old contacts, the living ones, and they pretended not to hear me over the phone. One told me that maybe hell had gone freelance. Another just told me to stop asking questions that wanted answers. By the 5th contract, I noticed the timestamps. They matched the exact minute the signer had died. By the 6th, I noticed something worse. Every single signer had died believing that justice would never come for them. I killed a safety inspector who'd skipped a crucial bridge review. I killed a CEO who had buried damning test results under a bonus memo. I killed a landlord whose neglect had written mold into the lungs of children. And after each kill, the next contract arrived faster. It felt like I was clearing a backlog. The dead were organized, and I was their instrument. I told myself it didn't matter who held the leash, as long as the target deserved it. That's how men like me sleep at night. Then I got a contract signed by a boy. Age at death, 9. Cause, accidental discharge. The target was the officer who labeled it simple negligence and closed the file. I sat in my kitchen until the sun rose and set again, without asking my permission. I killed the officer. I did it because the contract in my hand didn't shake, and because my own hands did. After that, the contracts changed. They started including notes, not instructions, not pleas, just sentences that read like final thoughts. I hope you don't hate yourself for this. I tried to forgive him, but forgiveness didn't grow fast enough. I don't know if this helps, but it's all I have. I began to feel less like a killer and more like a courier, delivering messages the only way I knew how. The city started whispering my name again, the way it does when bodies start piling up too neatly. A journalist tried to interview me and ended up interviewing the ground. I changed apartments, changed my habits, and still, the paper found me. One night, a contract arrived already open, as if it had been read. The signer was my old handler. The time of death matched the night. He taught me how to make a gun look like a pen. The target was a woman I had never heard of. The reason was a single word, authorization. That word stuck to my teeth. I tracked her to a records office, the kind of place where files go to disappear politely. She was small, careful, and looked very tired, like someone who'd been carrying a heavy weight since before it even had a name. I watched her drink her coffee and stamp her forms, always choosing the correct color of ink. Nothing about her screamed murderer, but that's when I realized none of the targets ever did. I pulled her file and found a department I didn't know existed, posthumous redress. The city had built a desk for the dead and staffed it with the living. Her job was to approve or deny claims submitted after death, claims that would never be paid, claims that would be archived until the paper forgot it was once a tree. My handler had tried to push something through. She had denied it. He died the next week in a random accident. I didn't kill her. The contract burned itself on my counter and left a new one behind. This one was signed by a woman who had drowned waiting for a rescue that never came. The target was the dispatcher who downgraded her call. I did the job, and I felt something tear. Not guilt. Certainty. The certainty that this wasn't justice. This was accounting. I broke into the record's office that night and found the basement. Rows and rows of cabinets labeled with dates instead of names. The oldest drawer hummed with a strange energy. Inside were contracts that had never been delivered. Denied claims, and I understood. Someone, somewhere, had decided the dead needed a second market, a different kind of redress. I followed the money through shell accounts that were masked like professionals. It led to a foundation that funded ethics panels and grief counseling and lobbying. It led to men who spoke in rooms without windows. It led to a machine that had monetized closure. The contracts were written by the dead, but they were being rooted by the living. Someone was skimming the righteous anger of corpses and calling it civic duty. The next contract had no target. It just had a mirror. It was signed by a man whose death certificate listed his cause of death as unknown. The handwriting was my own. The time of death was listed as tomorrow. I didn't sleep. I dismantled the foundation, one document at a time. People resigned, then they vanished, then they fell. The city pretended it was all unrelated. The contracts stopped arriving for a week. On the 8th day, one came, addressed to everyone. It was signed by thousands. The target was the system itself. The payment was freedom. I did what I do best. I made it look like an accident. Servers drowned, backups burned, committees dissolved into lawsuits, and the dead went quiet. The rain finally remembered how to stop. The final contract arrived a month later. It was signed by me. Again, target, me. The reason, continuation. I burned it without reading the rest, and I walked out into a city that didn't know my name anymore. Somewhere, a drawer slid closed for the last time.